Welcome to Ghostly.
Does the Sausage King's wife still haunt Chicago?
Ghostly is a podcast that comes out every other week. In each episode, we take a ghost story or paranormal event and look into its complete history. Rebecca then gives us evidence proving that the story is real, and my job is to debate those pieces of evidence and get you, the listener, prepared to vote on if it's real or not. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. And as always, we're your host. I'm Pat.
And I'm Rebecca.
And what's been going on, Rebecca?
It's been a bit of a stressful time for my family, so I've been a little busy, but we have had some beautiful weather, and just trying to enjoy the outdoors while we can.
Wow, okay.
How about for you?
Well, I've been planning ghostly events.
Oh, yes.
So now I'm ready to give out a couple dates.
Oh, okay.
All right. I have two in mind, 2 out of 4 that I can release the information for now.
Okay.
So on the first event coming up is in early September. It is September 11th, I believe. And we will be doing Elgin Fringe Fest again.
Woo!
And they're going to have a night of podcasts there where it's going to be us with some of our friends, actually, and we're going to talk about that later. But there's also going to be a true crime podcast there.
Oh, cool.
I don't remember the name of the true crime podcast, or I would plug them right now, but I don't remember the name. And I'm actually not supposed to know this information. But yeah, so we will be there with a couple other podcasts. We're really, really excited. It'll be at the Blue Box in Elgin on September 11th. Now, the way that Fringe works is we could charge money for the show, but that's not very ghostly for us. So we are having it for free. But in order to get into the Fringe, you have to pay $3 per person for a button. And that allows you to see any other show that's free.
Yep.
So,
and then some might charge an extra, $5-10, something like that. But
yeah, I'm not sure.
Super fun. Lots of fun things going on. So yeah, we're going to be in Elgin, Illinois, September 11th, to do a ghostly episode. It's going to be super fun. Yeah. And then what's the second one?
So, but the Elgin one, we will keep it Elgin related as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because we really like to do that. Last time we were there, we sold out.
We did.
Which, I mean, I'm not just saying that. There was hundreds of people. There was literally, that place was packed.
There was no more room.
And they had to turn people away. Even Mondo got turned away.
That's true. Even Mondo got turned away.
Yeah.
That's true. So if you decide to come, make sure you show up early.
Yeah, and you might even want to just check out the other podcasts since, if they're doing it for free, which I'm not sure if they are, but if they're doing it for free, you could pay $3 and see all 3 of them then.
Yeah, there you go.
So the other one is with our friends at Graveside Paranormal, Neil. You remember him from our Country House episode.
Yep.
And we're really excited about this one. It is going to be the Roth House.
Yes, it's the Roth House.
Yeah, double F
with the F. I kept hearing the Roth House, and
so did I.
Yeah, but it's Roth House. Super excited about this event.
Yes,
cannot wait.
Yes,
it's about 2.5 hours southish of Chicago area.
Yeah.
And it's this potentially haunted house.
Well, there may have been an exorcism performed in this house.
It's like one of the first recorded exorcisms in the United States.
And once you hear the story, it is just crazy. It's like there was somebody that got exorcised and then might have gone into someone else's body or something like that.
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's really it's a big story.
Yeah. And we will be there the whole entire day. We will also be recording, what your take is when you come out. People can go do a walkthrough. And I believe that their main event, the after 8 o'clock one, which cost $120, and there's only allowed 12 people, I believe that they sold out.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the day, I think it starts at 10 o'clock, they can do a walkthrough of the house for $10. So you can also use Graveside Paranormal's investigation equipment.
Yeah. So it's not just a tour. You can actually do some of your own, investigating in the house.
And it's called Paranormal Palooza. Parapalooza 3.
Mm-hmm. And actually, stay tuned. Look for us on, I think it's going to be in late August. We'll be going live on Facebook at some point, or live on the socials, I should say, interviewing the current owner of the property.
That's going to be so interesting.
It's going to be super interesting. And then again, in September, we'll be going to the house, and we'll be there for the event. Very exciting.
Yeah, and it's not just the walkthrough, and it's not just Ghostly. They also have vendors there, and they're going to have food there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
super exciting.
It seems like a really cool event. We're really excited about it. And I'm really excited to tell you the other 2 events, but I can't yet because they haven't been approved yet. They're mostly approved, but they're not totally approved yet. So I can't tell you them yet.
Nope, gotta wait on those. But
stay tuned because there's going to be a lot more Ghostly coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have a shout out today. Now, there are 2 ways to get a shout out on Ghostly. The first way is the free way. And it's to give us a review on Apple Podcast. We always prefer the 5-star reviews, but we will read any and all reviews that we receive. The second way is to either buy us a coffee on buymeacoffee.com/ghostlypodcast, or by going to ghostlypodcast.com and hitting the buy us a coffee button in the menu or on the bottom of the screen. And you could even become a member on Buy Me a Coffee, where you will find out the episode schedule ahead of everybody else. And there's also more benefits that we're working on. This time we only have one shout out. And this one is a Apple Podcast review. And it's a 4-star review from Mink the Link 12.
All right.
Rebecca, you want to read it?
Sure. It says, me and my family found this while on our road trip, and we are listening regularly now. And titled
awesome.
Love This. Yeah.
That is awesome.
We love when families listen to Ghostly together.
Yeah. And you know what? I find that a lot of people are doing it during road trips.
Yeah. Definitely a great binging.
And what a time to go for a road trip. I mean, country's opening back up, and it's time that we get out there. I mean, gas prices are high, but besides that, everything is perfect for a road trip.
It is. Now, I am going to give a little bit of warning for this episode today. It is true crime, and so there might be some gruesome details that we certainly do not go. We certainly do not go into graphic, gory details, but certainly some mentions.
Yeah. All right, let's do the listener mail.
All right. Okay, so this is from listener Brian. Thank you so much for sending us this one. So he says, first off, I'm a skeptical believer.
Okay. I have
had many experiences throughout the years, but I will share my first. So Brian does claim that he's going to send us some more stories. I think he actually sent us another one already. Okay. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I was home alone. This was never a problem because I preferred it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that way too.
Back in the day, it was okay to leave an 8 or 9 year old child alone.
8 years old. I remember that was like I was finally old enough to stay home alone. I mean, not at night, but during the day.
I would walk home and I had the keys to the house, which was exciting.
Yeah,
because I didn't get the keys until I was like 8 years old, and it was like a big deal for me. And I got to come inside and make cheese sandwiches in the microwave.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was never a problem because I preferred it that way. But on this day, it was summer and about 90 to 100 degrees inside and out. I was on the couch watching TV when I saw someone walk out of my bathroom and into my bedroom and then shut the door. I was home alone and I saw a strange woman in my house with me. I was not a normal child. I ran to the kitchen and grabbed a knife and then ran to my bedroom door and opened it up. Not only was there no one there, my window was locked. I felt a strange dread and the primal fight or flight kicked in. It was also freezing in my room. I ran to a neighbor's house. By the by, at this time, I had no idea about ghosts or their effect on the environment.
But it could have been... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And no, Pat, microclimates
that's what I was
did
gonna say.
not affect our bedrooms due to them being facing the summer sun. If anything, the room would have been hotter than the rest of my house. See, he anticipated your claim. So sorry so long. Actually, this was kind of a short one, Brian. So thank you. So he's got, he says, plus I have many more, and you two are amazing. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Brian. So if you want to send us your ghost story, because we want to hear them and we want to read them on the show, you can send it to us at the email info@ghostlypodcast.com, or you can just use the contact us form on ghostlypodcast.com. There's a contact button right at the top. It's easy to find. Or you can send it in via regular mail, which is awesome. So our mail address is P.O. Box number 264 in Geneva, Illinois, 60134. That's P.O. Box number 264, Geneva, Illinois, 60134. And all of this will be in the show notes as well. So you can just go ahead and click on the show notes when you stop driving on your road trip.
There you go.
All right. So I guess we got to do the polls.
Time for the polls.
I'm more excited about the polls now that we do that overall rating.
That it really gives us a couple pieces of data here.
Yeah, exactly.
So in our last episode, we talked about spirit photography. So the yeses just squeaked it out with 51.6%.
Oh my God.
Our no's came in at 48.4. So now the overall rating. So remember, you can now vote on how haunted it is from 1 to 10. We couldn't do 0. So 1 to 10. So 1 being not haunted at all and 10 being the most haunted place ever. And this one scored a 4.06.
Oh.
So the ranking was really more on the not so haunted side.
Yeah.
But the yeses won for whether or not it's spirit photography exists.
So they believe it's haunted, just not very haunted.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm willing to take that. And I almost squeaked one past. Maybe this episode will be my first win since February.
It's possible.
All right. Well, I hope so. All right. I'm going to be honest. Most episodes we do because we know people will search for them. So we come up with these titles and we come up with the concepts a lot of times for that reason. And it's just a way to help us get more people to listen. And then we hope that our wit and charm will get people to keep listening.
So charming.
This is probably not going to be one of those episodes. Let me just say that. This one is purely for the fun of doing it, for the sport.
Well, I will say, I think once people see the title of this episode, they're going to be excited to listen to it.
Well, I hope so. I think it was our Joliet prison episode where we stumbled upon the idea of the Sausage King murderer.
Yes.
And since then, it's been all that I've been thinking about.
I know, it's hard to let it go.
I mean, like, I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes. I mean, not in a sweat or anything because of my magical skeptical powers. But it's like the first thing that I think about, what about the Sausage King of Chicago?
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the obsession level.
I am obsessed with this story.
Okay.
And of course, this wouldn't be a proper Chicago episode without our man of Chicago. So let's welcome Mondo back on Ghostly. Hey, Mondo, how have you been?
Hello. Pretty good.
What you been up to?
Not too much. Just a lot of work.
So you guys moved back into your house, right?
Yes, I did.
I don't think that you've been on since you moved back in.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, you have?
Time.
Oh, then
Yes.
Forget I even asked this then.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I thought you were close, but so everything, you're back. That's good. Any other exciting news to share?
Well,
Not yet.
I'm gonna be a grandpa.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow,
And,
I'm super excited for you.
Thank you.
You're gonna be an awesome grandpa. Are you gonna start like pulling coins out of people's ears and stuff?
I've never been good at that, but maybe it's time to try.
I
Yeah.
think it's a skill to learn.
Well, no, I think it's a skill you get when you become a grandpa.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, you just instantly get it somehow. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll keep you posted. I'll see how it goes.
All right.
Just magically one day I could do it. So we'll see.
Mhm. All right, Rebecca, do you have a ghost story for us?
I do. Let's get our minds into the world of the Sausage King.
All right.
It's time for a spooky tale from Rebecca.
You are not going to believe me. The story makes no sense, but I swear it's true. I just moved into a new condo in Chicago on Diversey, and it's been great. Awesome neighborhood, right by the lake. I love taking my bike down by the water and riding along the path. It's beautiful. So yesterday, I took a ride a little later in the day than usual and a little longer than usual. So when I finally made it back, it was dark. I keep my bike in a storage space in the basement. As I was opening up my locker area, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. I admit I was a little freaked out because it was dark, but I was really more worried about like a robber or something. But when I turned my head, there was nothing there. I put my bike in the cage area and I was locking it back up when I felt a presence. I don't know how else to describe it. And it was like I could feel eyes on me. I turned around and I looked down the row, and I swear to you, I saw a woman in white just standing there, staring at me. She looked sad. But like I knew she wasn't real. Like not a live person standing there. She was just like she wasn't present, but she was there, and then she was gone, faded away from existence. I've never seen anything like that before. I didn't even scream because it was so short and so shocking. I stood there shaking with my mouth open in disbelief. Luckily, I didn't have to walk out that way. I just ran to the next row and to the elevator before I could even think of anything. I told you wouldn't believe me. It's insane. But here's the thing. I decided to do some research on my building. I know. I should have done this before moving in. I found out that my building was the site of a famous murder, the Sausage King murder. He killed his wife and dissolved her body in the basement in a vat. Well, I know in my bones that she's the person I saw. Which, shocking as that is, makes me feel less afraid. She's just a poor murdered soul who can't move on from this place where her life was taken. But I keep my bike in my condo now.
Wow. All right. So how much of that is based on any kind of facts at all?
It's kind of a combination of a couple different stories.
Oh, the locker story. The storage
Yes.
locker story. Yeah.
Well, one of the things, unfortunately, we didn't have time to do is have one of my friends on who doesn't live in the building, but lives like just down the street from this building.
And she passes it every day.
It every day. And I have been in her building and seen like her basement and like the whole setup and everything. And I'm guessing these are all buildings from about the same time, similar setups, all of that. So my guess is, so I can picture it in my
Wow.
head. So.
Well, Mondo, how familiar are you with Diversey?
Pretty. I know exactly where that's at because it's right around the corner from Rinaldi's Pizza, and they
Yes,
have
it is.
fantastic sausage
Ah.
pizza.
Oh, there you go.
So is that a Mondo recommendation?
For sure. It's one of the best in Chicago.
One of the
And-
best. Wow.
Yes.
Even better than Vito and Nick's?
It's a different kind. Actually, this is like a New York style pizza in Chicago.
Ah,
Yeah, it is.
ugh.
Yeah.
Ooh, who would do that?
And
right.
that area is just blocks away from Lincoln Park. So you have the park, you do have the lake, just a couple blocks away from there, and it's very busy. And the buildings are, a mixture of really big buildings and then small and smaller buildings too.
Wow.
But very populated.
Very.
And so I would imagine that if it were, I'm not sure which building that is in, but
It's in the 1700 block.
Oh, okay. So is it a high rise or smaller?
Is it like 10 stories, 5 stories?
I don't know exactly, but I'm imagining it's bigger because now it's condos. So
yeah, I think there's
Gotcha.
they added on like a new section to it. I'm sure we'll hear more about it maybe, but it's definitely there's a lot of condo buildings in that area, but like you said, also like lots of businesses, different size buildings, I guess. But like I said, my friend lives in this area, and I always tell her she lives in a mall because there's like so many stores and restaurants and everything there. Yeah.
All right. Well, we should take a quick break, and when we return, we're gonna talk about the history.
Pat, what do creepy stories, funny ghost memes, and inside ghostly information have in common?
My life.
Well, yes, but no, it's also Ghostly Society on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that too, of course. But aren't all ghostly listeners in Ghostly Society?
Not yet.
What? I mean, that means that they're missing out on all my jokes.
Yeah, they are. And missing out on chatting and sharing with other listeners and us, of course.
We love talking to our listeners. If you haven't yet, you should consider joining our private group on Facebook called Ghostly Society.
Let's hope now they will.
Unless they're a woman in white.
Uh-oh.
All right. So, what kind of food is Chicago known for?
Pizza.
Pizza, okay. But the deep dish pizza that Chicago is known for, although, not many Chicagoans eat deep dish pizza on a regular basis. But that's what Chicago is known for pretty much. And that wasn't invented until the 1940s.
Okay.
And it was invented by the owner of Uno's.
So he claims.
Actually, it might have been somebody that worked for him that made it. That's the other story.
Okay.
But what about in the 1880s and 1890s? What kind of food do you think Chicago is known for? I mean, come on, it's sausages.
Sausage.
Well, and we still are. It still is in some ways, right?
Yeah.
With the hot dogs and all the stuff that we have.
I had some taco brats the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was pretty much a brat that had cheese in it that had taco seasoning. Man, it was good. You think you try it, Mondo?
Oh, I would definitely.
Yeah. All right.
It's interesting how the food of Chicago evolved. Like you said, that was sausage, and that was the 1890s.
Yeah.
And I know that then our other thing that Chicago's known for is Italian beef. And that came out during the Depression because they were trying to conserve the meat. So they were just shaving, a big piece of beef, and then what do you know? Pizza came next.
Are you more of a sausage or a beef kind of guy?
I actually like beef on pizza, but I
Beef
don't have
on
a problem
pizza?
with sausage.
What?
Yeah.
But I mean,
Italian
like a
beef.
sandwich. Even though like a hot dog isn't a sandwich, but
Yes, it is.
I'm a pizza guy. Yeah.
You're a pizza guy over
And sausage. Sorry.
Okay, so like, if you were gonna have a sandwich, would you have a beef sandwich or would you have a sausage?
Oh, both. sausage and beef combo.
Oh, you're a combo guy.
I'm a combo guy.
What are you, Rebecca?
Beef.
Beef.
Sure.
I would probably go beef over sausage, but
on a pizza, sausage is good.
I do appreciate a good sausage, though, occasionally. Okay, so here's all the hashtag pet facts that you need to know about the Sausage King of Chicago murderer.
Pets, facts. From a skeptic point of view. Pets, facts. He presents it all to you. Pets, facts, facts.
So first, to start this off, there's two things wrong here. First is that I asked in Ghostly Society, who is the current Sausage King of Chicago? Because after our Joliet Prison episode, I started thinking about that. I mean, I am obsessed with this whole concept, so I started thinking, who is the current one? And everybody replied back that it was Abe Froman. Well, he is not actually a real person. Right, Mondo?
That's what we found out.
That's what we found out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, why? So maybe Mondo, why don't you, for anyone that maybe is younger or doesn't know the reference, why did most people answer Abe Froman?
Abe Froman was a fictional character that was brought up in the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
And it's about a young high school kid that ditches school for the day with his friends, and they travel all over Chicago. And in one scene, he claims to be Abe Froman so that they could get seats at a expensive restaurant.
And they did get seats.
They did.
But then Abe Froman showed up, though, didn't he?
No.
Oh, okay. So there was no Abe Froman. So
No.
But it's a very good movie, and if you haven't seen it, you definitely shouldn't if you haven't watched it in a while.
yeah. But
Definitely
I would
rewatch.
love to believe that he was real, but he's not. But if we had to crown a current Sausage King, it would probably be Jim Bodeman, although Jim Bodeman would probably would not claim the title.
Okay.
The reason why is he is the CEO of the legendary Vienna Beef Company, which is some of the best commercially sold hot dogs on the market and found in a lot of the ballparks that you might go to. And I believe they also supply Portillo's, which is a Chicago staple. I think there's a Portillo's in Arizona now.
Yeah, and someone was saying in Florida too, in
And
Orlando.
California.
Oh wow, yeah, they're trying to expand.
Yeah, but I mean, up until recently, it was just a Chicago staple.
Yeah.
Next thing is that there are actually several people that have claimed that they were the Sausage King throughout the years, which is a real shame that there's not like a coronation ceremony or anything. I mean, I think we're missing a really fun opportunity here.
To just
You're right.
Like
Yeah.
a global Chicago, or I'm sorry, a global Sausage King or a Chicago Sausage King?
Just Sausage King.
Just
That's it.
Sausage King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Alright.
and I think it should be televised. And I think that they should have to wear like some kind of crown made of like brats or something.
They have the hot dog eating challenge.
Yeah,
so
right.
They can hold it the same day and let
That's
the
true.
contestants vote on their favorite hot dog.
That's true.
And they also have like some sandwich eating contest too, which a hot dog is not a sandwich. So then obviously they would need to have a sandwich contest too.
So, listeners, in case you're not aware, Pat, for some reason, thinks that a hot dog is not a sandwich when it clearly is. And he gets very defensive
No,
about the
it's
fact
not.
that
It's not.
no one agrees with him. So
No, that's not true.
he
Most of the
likes
world
to bring
agrees
this
with
up
me.
as often as possible.
Most of the world agrees with me. A hot dog is not a sandwich. Maybe that'll be a poll one day.
Maybe.
All right. So, also for a side note, there is not just one, but at least two previous Sausage Kings that have been tried in a court of law for murder.
Yeah, you do have to be careful when you do research if you're looking up Sausage King murder, because
Yeah.
I think there's one in Germany.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them around.
I mean, the title, it really, it's not just prestigious, it's infamous. So, but this episode is about Adolph Luetgert, the Sausage King of Chicago in the late 1800s. Luetgert was born on December 27th, 1845. So he's a Christmas baby similar to you, Rebecca.
Yeah. We're right around the same time.
Yeah. Well, that year too, 1845.
Yep.
Oh wow, you're older than you look.
Thanks.
He was born in a town called Gütersloh.
I love saying German words.
Gütersloh, yeah. That was part of Prussia, but is now a part of Germany. So he was one of 16 children born to Christian and Marguerite Luetgert. Out of the 16 children, there were only 2 girls, which is odd, right?
I guess.
Adolf actually had a twin, but little is known of him as he didn't rise to the fame of being a sausage king.
Yeah, the only Luetgert we remember is the sausage king.
Yeah, and barely at that, I think. Adolf's father made his money on animal hides. That's probably how Adolf got into making sausages, although little is known of his sausage history, just when he actually rose to being sausage king. Typically in those days, a boy wouldn't spend much time in school if they were a tradesman's son. It was just assumed that the boy would take over the family business and would need to start learning their craft at about the age of 14 or so. So Adolf worked under Ferdinand Nabel, and he was taught all about the tanning business. But since this is before cars, it made it difficult for commuting to and from work, so he just lived with him.
Okay.
In Prussia in those days, tanning wasn't an easy business. So at about the age of 19, Adolf moved out and started traveling around Europe. He did any job he could find and was barely making ends meet. He stayed in London for about 6 months, but could only find a job scrubbing restaurant floors, which was about as lucrative as it sounds. So at about the age of 20, he got to live out his dream. Everyone in Europe was talking about going to America. There, you were able to have anything you wanted if you worked hard enough. He took all the money he had, which was about $30, and got on a boat bound for New York City.
New York City?
I was prepared for you to say that, yeah. He stayed in New York for a little while and then headed to Quincy, Illinois. Mondo, you've been to Quincy, right?
Yes, I know I have.
Oh, okay.
That's
I can't really tell you much about it.
That's one of those names you're like, yeah, I think I've been to Quincy. I can't quite remember.
I'm sure
where
I've been
it
to Quincy. He had some friends there, and he also had his oldest brother, Henry, that lived there. But again, little is known of Henry Luetgert. Immigrants to Illinois in those days were mostly German, hence why Chicago was known for its sausages.
I'm pretty sure some of my relatives were some of those Germans coming.
Maybe you're a Luetgert.
I don't think so.
Rebecca Luetgert?
That doesn't sound... I don't like it. Shuring.
Mondo, do you have any Luetgerts in your family history?
No. None that we wanted to talk about.
Oh, okay.
No.
You could claim the title of Sausage King, though.
Oh.
Adolf stayed in Quincy for a few months, but then moved to Chicago to try to find a job at a tannery, which he did find, and actually worked for a couple of tanneries. But he also did a bunch of side jobs, like he was a moving man. He was willing to work really hard, and after a while, he was able to save up around $4,000. He took that money and started his own business. Now, $4,000 doesn't sound like much money when we think about today's standards, especially to start a business. But that's equivalent to about $90,000 in today's money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, for an immigrant that just came over here to be able to save up $90,000, that's a lot. The business he started was at first a liquor business that somehow kind of morphed into a sausage business where he finally found his stride. Adolf got married to Carolina Ropik. They lived at 725 Clybourne Avenue in Chicago. Mondo, you familiar with Clybourne?
Yes.
So 725 Clybourne Avenue. I can't picture it. Can you?
Clybourne runs on an angle.
Mm-hmm.
So it would not be too far from where that is.
Yeah, that's close to
The factory?
well, it's close
Yeah.
to downtown or the lake. I'm trying to picture. And Clybourne and Diversey do cross. But yeah, there's 7 angled streets, right, Mondo? 7, 6, something like that in downtown
Something like that,
Chicago.
yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, and Clybourne is one of them.
Interesting. They had 2 sons, and then Carolina died. In my research, I cannot find a cause of death, though. But this one doesn't seem to have been under suspicion.
So, and I'm putting this here because it's not in the debate. There are some weird rumors. Supposedly he owned bars, like with the liquor business, and that people claim that like a couple of his sons had mysterious deaths, and Caroline
There was
had
that.
mysterious deaths or something. And yeah, maybe you'll talk about those. But from what I could tell, there was never anything, especially about the wife. Like I never saw anything.
I never
weird.
see anything more about
Yeah.
it. I've seen her headstone, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Adolph got remarried just 2 months after Carolina's death to a woman named Louisa Luetgert.
Yeah, that seems a little suspicious.
Yeah. They had 4 children together, and that's a total of 6 for you math heads out there. But only 3 of the 6 children lived past the age of 2 years old. So that might be what you've heard.
Yeah.
But that was common in those days. If you made it past the age of 2, there was a good chance you were going to make it.
Yeah.
Louisa Luetgert was reported as missing on May 1st, 1897. This is when we get into the true crime part of this podcast. Adolph told their children that their mother had gone to visit her sister on the previous night, but never came back. And after a few days, Louisa's brother, Diedrich Bickney's, went to the police to report her disappearance. Now, actually, I've also heard that Diedrich might have been related to the first wife.
Whoa.
Yeah, but they have not ever been able to make a tie that actually connects them, but there is some speculation that they could have been related.
Interesting.
Luetgert told the police that she ran away with another man. But as the police were investigating the missing person reports, they realized that Louisa and Adolph had a lot of domestic violence reports, and that the couple were always fighting about something. So as the police continued the investigation, things started to unfold rather quickly. They talked to a security guard or a night watchman that said that Adolph and Louisa came by the factory on May 1st. Adolph gave the guard a task to do that took him away from the factory and even told him that when he was done, he could take the night off. Then the police found receipts from Adolph purchasing arsenic and potash the day before Louisa went missing.
I've heard of arsenic. That's can be used as a poison.
Yeah, and so could the potash. Basically, it's to decompose bodies.
Ew.
I mean, there's other reasons. Like if you're running a sausage factory, you might have some bad sausages that you need to get rid of.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't want to just, burn all of them or let them just rot.
Mondo, do you just let sausages rot?
No, but I mean, if he did burn them, maybe they would smell good and it would attract more people. It's probably could have been a marketing gimmick they used.
Dunkin' Donuts does it, right? They pipe out that smell.
I burnt some sausages yesterday at a barbecue. Although they were called hot dogs, and they're not sandwiches. So the police got a warrant then to search the factory. And when they searched the furnace, they found bad sausages and human remains. Or what they believed to be human remains. In that day and time, it was really hard to prove that.
Yeah, this is true. We're talking
it could be
1800s.
animal remains too.
Yeah.
But they also found 2 rings, one of which had the initials LL on it, Louisa Luetgert.
Oh.
Now, Adolph claimed to be innocent, but this was enough for the police to make an arrest and to take Adolph to trial. So there were actually 2 trials for Adolph. The first was found to be a hung jury because although there was evidence that there were bone fragments and the LL ring, the defense said that Louisa left freely on May 1st, and many people claimed to see her after that day. But then a few months later, the case was retried, and this time the prosecution used an anthropologist as an expert witness, and he set out to prove that the bones that were there in the furnace were actually human bones.
And he did, I'm guessing?
Enough for the jury to not be hung this time, and the jury came back unanimously that he was guilty.
Now, I'm going to say, when I was reading this history, I felt like maybe in that first trial, there might have been some money going to that jury and money going to those quote unquote witnesses that saw Louisa.
Yeah, but we have a little thing here in the U.S. called double jeopardy. You're not supposed to be tried 2 times for the same crime.
But a hung jury is different.
Yeah,
that's a mistrial, and that says if he had been now if that jury had acquitted him, then they couldn't have tried him again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Adolph was sentenced to life in prison. And that term was actually served out in full because he died in prison just 18 months later in Joliet prison, as that's where we came up with this episode. And the cause of death was a fatty degenerative heart disease, which is very fitting for a sausage king.
It really is.
After the trial was publicized, rumors spread that Luetgert had ground up his wife's remains as sausage and sold this sausage to unknowing consumers.
Sorry, we should have done like a trigger warning.
Yeah, right? We should have, yeah. But sales of sausage in Chicago dropped off for a little bit. The tale was later proven completely false.
Okay.
As her body was shown to have been dissolved and the remains mostly burned. But the legend persists to this day, and another common legend related to the murder is that the ghost of Louisa Luetgert haunts the old factory grounds and the couple's former home in Chicago, which I'm sure Rebecca will talk about.
We will.
So without this case, this is what I found really, really interesting. Without this case, there might not have been any true crime podcast at all, because this was one of the first trials to be widely covered by the media. Newspapers from Chicago reported it on a daily, and some of the reporters tried to eavesdrop on the jury's deliberations. It is credited with making murder trials a subject of general interest in the media. This case also was one of the earliest to use anthropologist as a forensic expert in a trial.
Interesting.
Now, some people claim that the old factory where the sausage were made burnt down in 1902. But the factory still stands to this day, or at least the outer core of it still stands to this day and was converted into condos. It is located on the 1700 block of West Diversey Parkway.
Wanted.
Mondo, we haven't even gotten anywhere yet with this.
Sorry.
There were many sightings of Louisa Luetgert after the trial began. She was sighted in 12 different states, but never found. One of the most famous myths was that she was seen boarding a ship in New York bound for Europe. And when Adolph heard this, he said that he thought she was definitely fleeing the country. Louisa, however, was never reported as being seen outside the United States.
Yeah. So one crazy fact that I read is that his defense attorney from one of the trials, maybe even both, believed in Adolph so much and believed in his innocence so much that he didn't even charge him a fee for defending him, and spent $2,000, which again, as we've talked about, is a lot of money back then. I mean, still not a lot of money, but anyways, $2,000 of his own money searching for Louisa. Never found her and ended up in an institution after a breakdown.
I don't know. I don't know if the Sausage King was actually a murderer.
Okay, why would you think he's not?
Because there's so
guilty?
many reports of them seeing her all around the country.
Okay. So, Mondo, many times when we're arguing about if a ghost sighting is real or not, I mention that over the years, many people have seen this ghost. And Pat's response is, that's not good enough.
Yeah, but they didn't see her ghost. They saw her body.
Mm.
Mondo,
Well,
I think you need to side with me on this part.
I don't know. What happened with the attorney? He felt so strongly in his convictions that it drove him mad. That's a warning to you.
You think I'm going to be driven mad by the 1890s Sausage King?
No,
Well, it's waking him up at night, Mondo. I don't know.
you feel so strongly in your beliefs about things, and I'm worried about you, man.
No, I think people just want to be involved in the case. And they're like, yeah, I saw Louisa, even though I'm just a random person in another state that has never seen this person, because it's the 1800s and there's no photos or movies.
But this is not the debate, okay? And, Mondo, you're worried about me. I'm worried that we're not going to have a song for this episode, and I think the listeners need one.
Oh.
Do you got anything for us?
No, I'm sorry.
I've been kind of playing around with one in my head. You want to hear it? Yeah.
Sure.
He is the Sausage King, murdering. At least they found the ring. Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Anybody can be that guy. Abe Froman's not the Sausage King. It is a lie.
Nice.
You like it?
Sausage King, murdering, least they found her rings. Oh, yes. This is going to be catchy.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I mean, I'm not Mondo, so
right. It's no Waverly Hills, but
thanks.
And you too, Rebecca. That was good.
thanks.
Well, she just sang when I sang.
Yeah, but it's better.
You just always want to take her side in everything. All right. Well, we're going to take a small break, and then when we come back, we are going to get to the debate. All right, we're back. Mondo, during the short little break, did you have a chance to think of any little ditty?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yes. I believe this is what got him on the second time, when they went to trial for the second time, because I just kind of envisioned that the defense was up there and he just looked at at the jury and broke out into song.
Oh.
And he even explained how he killed him. And it had to do with arsenic, or killed her. It had to do with arsenic.
Oh.
And he just looked at them and said, that sausage was poison. And then
a little Belle Biv DeVoe.
It's driving me out of my head. Out of my mind, sorry. Everybody is blaming the sausage guy. He goes, miss her, kiss her, kill her. That sausage was poison.
That's the best. I love it.
There goes my Sausage King song now.
It was a good disco jam you had, though.
Yeah,
good.
It's just one of those things. I mean, as I said, every night I wake up thinking about the Sausage King, so. All right. So it's time for a debate.
It is. And I'm going to be honest. There are a lot of, or not a lot, but there are claims of stories. Not a lot of specifics out there, though, that I can find.
Good.
I'm gonna be honest about it. So
I might win this one?
Well, I mean, and I will say that Richard Crowe, who we all know is the godfather of ghost hunting in Chicago. We've talked about him before.
Yes.
He's no longer with us, but for many years he really was the guy. And even he said that he did not know of any firsthand accounts of stories.
Oh, we should ask Ursula at some point.
We should ask Ursula at some point, but anyway, so that doesn't mean there aren't any, just that he hadn't heard any firsthand accounts. Okay, but the first claim, and this is kind of interesting. We can take this a couple of different ways, paranormal or not.
No.
But the first ghost story claim actually comes during the trial itself by Luetgert himself, by Adolph. He claimed that he was seeing ghosts at the factory. Because during the investigation, he loudly accused the police of, quote unquote, hiring ghosts to scare him.
How do you pay ghosts?
I don't know. A neighbor and witness, Agatha Toshi, even had to swear in
Touche.
Touche. It's with an S, though, so I don't know. Anyways, she even had to swear in court that she'd never dressed up as Louisa's ghosts and walked the halls of the factory.
Wow, interesting.
So basically, yeah. So he's like, I keep hearing things in the factory. It must be the police paying someone to pretend to be Louisa's ghost, and he must have said that this woman is one that they paid to do this, and she had to testify and say, no, the police didn't pay me to like dress up as your dead wife to like freak you out.
Yeah.
So my thought is, no, it's because he was really being haunted by his ex former wife, dead wife, at his factory.
Well, you ever notice though that they don't name babies Adolf anymore?
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. That just is a weird thing.
Yeah, it is a weird thing, but this is all in the 1800s, so it wasn't weird then. But what do you think of that, Mondo? About him hearing things in his own factory, kind of during that time, during the investigation and the trial?
I think he had some guilt on his mind, I think, there's no way to pay a ghost off. They're not on the take. So.
I mean, do you pay him in like ectoplasma or something like that? Maybe we should ask Bob about that.
We should have to ask Bob about that.
He would probably be our ectoplasma expert, I would say, with his Ghostbuster history.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I'm going to say, I agree with Mondo. This is purely a guilt thing. Although I don't think he was guilty necessarily. I don't think there's enough real proof. They didn't do DNA or have much forensic evidence in those
Only
days.
that there were human bones and rings with her initials on them found in a vat in his factory after he sent the night watchman away on an errand. Nope, no evidence here.
Yeah, but if you think about it, though, the ring with the LL initials on it, that would be the perfect way that the police would identify her, right? Mm-hmm. So that would be the perfect way if she wanted to escape.
Yeah, and she simply could have broke up with him, taken her ring off, and just threw it across the room, and it bounced and landed in a vat of acid.
Right,
well,
and found some other human bones to put in there. Oh, no acid?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was in the furnace. So she could have just tossed it in the furnace knowing that they would. I mean, that's like a revenge thing, I'm thinking.
Right.
Okay,
but anyways, I really think that this is all just like a guilt thing. So I think that, it got the best of him. And I believe that this doesn't prove anything.
All right. So what's your rating on this one?
Let's go Mondo first. Mondo, what's your rating?
I say 1.
1.
Ooh,
okay.
1.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to give this one a 6 because of something coming up. But I will say, I think it's a little suspicious.
No. You have to go just on this evidence, not something coming up.
All right. Well, okay. Even with this, I'm giving it a 6. Do I think that it's possible that it was just his guilty mind? Yes. But the fact that it was so disturbing to him that he really was like, okay, like I will do anything for this to not be the ghost of the wife that I've killed. I'm going to blame the police on it, like to the point where somebody had to testify. That seems like a pretty extreme haunting situation. So it could, again, do I think it's likely in his mind? Yes, but just enough possible could be the ghost.
All right.
You know what? I'm sorry. Is there any way I could change my number?
Oh, Mondo.
She's got a point. I didn't think of it like that. Yes, he's got a guilty conscience, but you know what? It was just haunting him. It makes so much sense.
All right. So what is your new rating now, Mondo?
Going with a 5.
5?
Nice.
Wow. She got you to go up from a 1 to a 5. All right. Well, what I'm going to say is that, you take a guy that has a diet of mostly sausage, and then you suddenly take away his sausage and serve him prison swine.
Well, this is before he was in prison. This is before. You have to know, because our next thing is going to be in the prison.
But he was in custody or something.
No, he was being investigated at this point.
Okay. But still, I believe that, that the rest of the world stopped eating the sausage, and his sausage business was crumbling to the ground, and the poor man was in destitute. And I believe that, they were about to take his crown from him, and that therefore it is a 0.
Wow.
Now,
he was a broken man.
Does that change your opinion at all, Mondo?
Honestly, up until the point that Rebecca pointed out that he was not in custody, you had me. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Suddenly you deprive him of his sausage and you give him prison slop.
Yeah.
It's like, but I'm sticking with my 5.
Okay, you're sticking with 5 this time.
So I will say there also, I think this sometimes I think it's overlooked that the sausage business. Yes, there was issues with the sausage afterwards, right? Because people thought mistakenly that there were human remains in the sausage and all of that. But even before the murder, they were having some financial difficulties, the business. And he supposedly, I can't remember if you mentioned this, was actually supposedly courting a very rich woman already from Europe.
I did not mention that, but yes, he was. Yes.
Yeah. And so I don't know, like there's another podcast that I listened to called Red Collar, which I really like, and it's all about like monetary motive for murder.
Yeah.
And a lot of times things
not ghostly,
right,
but monetary.
And a lot of times people like might see a murder and think it was like a passion killing or other things, but oftentimes it's motivated by money. And so to me, I really do think he was guilty, if nothing else, because he wanted to marry this rich woman and needed to get rid of his wife. So
maybe.
But anyways, the money thing certainly played a factor in it all.
All right.
So our next piece of evidence, then, this may come in. Some of the arguments you all just made, I think, might come into this one. So our next ghost story or claim is that Louisa haunted Adolph in prison and drove him to his death. So again, there was his claims of noises at the factory itself. Now he's in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So while he's at the old Joliet prison, short, terrifying stay, he claimed that Louisa had followed him to the prison to exact her revenge on him. Guards report that he was found babbling incoherently to himself. He professed to other prisoners that he was possessed by the devil and confessed the devil made him kill his wife. He also said something about the rings being like doing him in or something like that. He became insane with his haunting and cajoling of him, and he died of his heart thing. And people wonder if maybe her haunting him is what drove him to die. So, Mondo, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. Yeah. I think, yes, it's like Al Capone.
That's what I was thinking.
He was, seeing former victims, people that he had killed that were coming back to haunt him. He basically confessed while he was in prison that he did in fact kill his wife. If, the rings did him in, he told others that he did it. So, I believe then that kind of proves that, I mean, he murdered her, so he had a reason to, worry or to invite a ghost to haunt him.
Oh, interesting point. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now is when I'm going to use my debate that the lack of sausages caused him. And there's evidence of this with his fatty heart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had a large heart because of, how much sausage that he ate.
This is the diet episode for all of us.
I mean, sausage is good in moderation. In moderation. You can only have so many taco brats at one time. But yeah, I believe that it was part of the insanity. Like you mentioned that it drove him insane. Well, what comes first, the insanity or the ghost? And even if he wasn't showing signs of insanity, if he later became insane, this could all be part of the ghost sightings. Insanity can be a lot of different things. And one of the things is hallucinations. Or like sometimes people will talk to themselves because they believe that they're talking to somebody else because they see someone else there. It's all part of the lack of sausage. So, Mondo, what's your rating on this one?
I believe that he killed her, and I think that
that's not what the debate is, though.
I believe that you had a very good point about insanity. And the other thing is, when I mentioned Al Capone, one of the reasons that he could be hallucinating is obviously he had an advanced form of syphilis at that point.
Yes.
So I think that can be looked at in much the same way. So, all right.
So what number would you give it?
I will give it a 5.
Okay, another 5. All right.
Another 5. Okay.
So for me, I'm actually going to give it another 6 for this.
Wow.
Because I do think that they're together. I do think that Louisa was upset about being murdered, and she haunted him until he died, potentially. Again, I'm not real strong. I'm not giving it like a 9 or a 10 because I do think we have to.
Because you really don't believe it.
We have to. No. I believe it's possible. I believe it's maybe a little bit more likely than not because it really is pretty extreme. And I guess I'll say this. This is the first story that I heard that she haunted him in prison, and that's what drove him to his death. And I thought, I'm not so sure about it. But then once I learned that he also had been claiming that she was haunting him even during the trial, but not that he didn't say it was her, he thought it was the police pranking him. That made it a little bit more legitimate for me as a possible haunting.
All right. Well,
how about you?
I'm going to say that not only the change in diet and the fatty heart and the insanity, but also, could you imagine spending 18 months in prison? And we talked about the conditions of people at Joliet prison. It was a smaller prison. You have a smaller cell. And I just believe that can drive a person even crazier. So if there was some signs of insanity, that's multiplied by being in a small cell, being alone, taken your freedom away from you. And I believe that this could have added to everything and caused him to hallucinate the ghost. So I do not believe at all that there's any possibility that there was a real ghost there. I believe it was all in his head. None of the other prisoners saw this ghost.
Well, but they heard him reacting to it.
Well, yeah, because he's reacting to what his mind sees. And his mind was messed up for lack of sausages.
So is this going to a 0?
It is going to go to a 0 on this one, yeah.
And, can I just mention something? When I had said 5 on that, I was actually thinking in terms of your argument. I could totally see so I actually wasn't giving the 5 to him being haunted by her so much as it being a possibility that he's suffering from hallucinations.
So do you want to lower your rating?
I'm
Or
sorry.
are you saying it with the 5? Saying with the 5?
I'll stay with the 5.
Okay.
Those are my thoughts. Sure.
But it's not a hard 5.
It's not
It's
a
a
hard
soft 5.
It's a soft 5. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got three more pieces of evidence here, guys.
All right.
All right. So our next, we're moving past the Sausage King himself, and moving back to the locations. So the first is the basement area of the old factory seems to be a particular area for ghost activity. Sorry, excuse me, for ghostly activity. Eventually, after years of kind of different owners and different people using this building, back in like the 1930s-ish time frame, 40s, a family purchased the building for a pretty good price. Because supposedly, there was some hauntings and there was the fire, all the different things happened over the years. But in the 1940s, one member of that particular family reported that he would regularly hear footsteps going up and down the stairs to the basement where her body was boiled or whatever, fired, poured things on, whatever happened to her.
Actually, if the night watchman saw her going into the factory, then that would mean that she was not killed in that building. She was killed at the factory.
Yeah. We're talking about the factory.
Oh, I thought you were talking about where they lived.
No. We're not there yet. No, we're still at we'll get to the house later.
Okay.
Right now, we're talking about the basement in the factory.
Gotcha.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, Mondo, what's your thoughts on this?
I guess I'd have to ask a little about that guy. Did he eat a lot of sausage? Is there some reason he would hallucinate?
I mean, everyone in Chicagoland area before deep dish pizza ate sausage on a regular basis.
Yeah. Well, what do we know as far as his credibility?
We don't. I mean, again, this is where, as I said at the very beginning, like specific firsthand accounts of sightings are very difficult to, if not impossible to find. So I do not know where this was reported exactly, just that, in that world of the internet and books on this, there is a report of someone in the 1940s claiming that they would regularly hear footsteps going up and down the stairs in the basement where all of this supposedly took place. This would have been after the fire. All the vats and things would be gone at this point. But just that somebody would hear her, or what they claim to be her.
I don't, because we don't know much about him. We don't know if that was kind of just the way he was. Maybe he was a big storyteller. So I'll go kind of low on this. And it's just footsteps. It could have been some animal that broke in or something. And maybe, he heard some cat running down the stairs or something. So I'll just go with like a 1.
A 1. Wow. Okay.
Right,
Rebecca? You want me to go?
You gotta go yet.
Okay. So I'm going to say that, we're also doing the rating at the same time.
Yeah, we're kind of putting them together.
Mixing them together. Okay. So I'm going to say that it is not uncommon for buildings to make noises, especially an older building like this, to settle in. But also, Mondo, you brought up some really good, interesting points that I don't think you fully fleshed out, that this report of the family member comes from other people. So it's not even a first-hand account of the person that actually heard it. So it is not uncommon for people to distort the facts when it is like, hey, I heard that this person was hearing footsteps. It's not uncommon to hear that kind of story. So I'm going to have to go very low on this one again. I'm going to go with Mondo on this one, a 1, just because we don't know enough about the person for me to really flesh this out.
Okay. So this one, it's tricky for me because I really only found this in like one source. It was a tricky thing. So footsteps, as you said, Mondo, those are hard because they are actually, both of you said, it's like there's so many things that could sound like footsteps, so it's a little trickier. So I'm actually going to give this one a 4.
A 4.
I'm
Wow.
going low. I'm
That's pretty
lowballing
low
this
for
one.
you.
Because again, this is something that again, like footsteps are tricky, Yeah. All right. So we've got another, again, this is the basement area in the factory building.
Okay.
And again, this is so vague. I'm sorry, guys, but two kind of things here is one that a family that lived in the building in the 70s had stories that they would tell about poltergeist activity in the basement, but that's it. I could find no specifics about what kind of poltergeist activity, and we don't necessarily know that they even thought that these things were related to the Sausage King murders. It's just that they happened to be in that building. So, but
and
again,
what was the original question that this episode is?
It's does the Sausage King's wife still haunt Chicago?
So the Sausage Queen.
Right. Yes. There was also a story about a police officer that claimed to chase a ghost in the basement. But to be honest, I'd rather focus on the poltergeist activity just because I just wanted to bring up that there was the weird thing with the cop. But I found no credibility for that at all. So I'd rather stick with the vague family poltergeist activity. So Mondo, what do you think?
So did these people, I'm sorry, did they buy the property?
Well, I think at this point in the 70s, they would be just probably condo owners. And then
okay.
you know what I mean? Like they probably go in the basement and then, claim that so poltergeist activity would be, seeing things move on their own.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Things flying
Doors
around or
opening,
falling.
closing. Right.
Gotcha.
So,
and it was the whole family that saw it?
I guess. That's what
Okay.
the report said.
And
But only one family. So,
do we know if it was a small family?
I don't know.
Like a guy in a family of cats? Or was it
I don't know the makeup of the family. That's how vague this is.
I gotcha. So I'll go kind of low on that. But because there were more people, or we believe in a family situation,
True,
that said it, I'll give it a 4.
A 4. Okay.
4.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is poltergeist is actually it comes from German.
Ooh, true.
Yeah, and it's actually pronounced Klopfgeist.
Oh, in German?
Yeah, not in probably in Germany if they're speaking German. Yeah. Klopfgeist. Yeah, so there doesn't seem to be anything involving this evidence except for their reports of it. A poltergeist is a ghost or other supernatural being that supposedly is responsible for physical disturbances such as loud noises and objects thrown around. But you didn't bring up any of those.
Nope.
So I don't know why they consider it a poltergeist. I don't know what activity there was. There's nothing to this. I don't even know if this is real evidence.
Yeah, it's I think this is from Troy Taylor, and I don't want to blame him. I think there's a lot of kind of the same evidence repeated out there, and I don't know, where it originally came from.
Yeah.
I looked at books, I looked around, and I could not find any super details.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to, we're doing the rating at the same time as the debate.
We'll just do
that. I'm going to give it a 0. I'm sorry.
Okay. I am going to give this one also a 4. Again, it's an interesting concept. There's a few stories about it, but it's just too vague to give it a higher score.
So Mondo gave it a 4. You gave it a 4.
Yep.
There's a pattern here.
No, I gave it 4 because I assumed that it was mother, father, and 2.2 children. So 1 point for each.
Okay, good. Okay. All right, now here we go. So the last one here though, this is a big one. So our last ghost story is actually the Luetgert house. So not long after Adolph went to prison, Louisa's ghost began to be seen inside the Luetgert house. Neighbors claimed to see a woman in white leaning against the fireplace mantle. Your favorite.
I know, right?
Woman in white. Eventually the house was rented out, but none of the tenants have stayed there long. The place became an object of fear, the yard overgrown with ragweed and largely deserted.
All right. So we're saying a woman in white was by the mantle. The ragweed and everything has nothing to do with anything.
Well,
so.
the fact that, no, I think there's
Ghosts don't grow ragweed.
No, but the fact that it's because she was there, people kept seeing her it wasn't just like one time someone saw her at the
Or maybe she was the one that
fireplace.
took care of the ragweed, and because she wasn't there, the ragweed was overgrown.
Well, the sight of her ghost kept people from staying there.
Okay. Mondo, what are your thoughts?
Well, I guess do we know what's on the property now? And has there been any accounts since they got rid of the house? Anything like that?
I don't know what the state of the house is right now.
Okay. Obviously, there was no mantle for her to stand there, and but I'll go pretty low on that one. It was multiple people that moved in and then moved out.
Yep. And neighbors would be the ones to report seeing her. There's also some story like if you're in the area May 1st of every year, you may just see her. But that seemed really vague, so I didn't go with that one. The mantelpiece story, so the mantle standing story sounded a little bit more plausible for me.
Okay, the neighbors saw, people saw. Well, I'll give that a 4 also.
Okay. I'm going to have to go pretty low on this one because this lady in white sure gets around all the time. She's everywhere. No, I think it is the idea that they realize that they bought the Sausage King house, or the Sausage King Castle, as I would like to think of it. And, they realized that there was a murder. They didn't realize that it wasn't committed there, probably, because this was in the 1970s or something. Or not, no, this is not long after.
Right. This is, pretty,
I mean, she wasn't murdered there. She was obviously unhappy in the marriage, so it wasn't like this is a place that would... was like a happy place for her. So I'm gonna have to go really, really low on this one. I'm gonna give it a 1.
Okay. So just looked, and 725 North Clybourne is now a Jewel, which for those of you not in the Chicago area, that is a grocery store. So it looks
or
like
as
they
we call
tore
it,
down.
Jewels.
Yes, the real Chicagoans.
There's no S at the end, but for some reason we make it Jewels.
The city folk do.
The city folk do,
suburbians,
yeah.
We don't. We just call it Jewel.
Mondo, what is it?
It's Jules.
Yeah.
Jules. Yeah.
But anyway, so it looks like the house is no longer existing. And so don't if you're traveling to Chicago, you don't need to look for it. Well, again, for me, this is a much reported sighting. To me, it makes sense that she might. This might have happened just because it kind of goes along with, she was haunting her husband. She was in her home. She was a very, very upset presence, understandably, after all of this happened. And I don't think I'm actually interestingly less convinced, surprisingly, I was not going into this thinking this, but I'm less convinced that she haunts the factory as I am that she did haunt her home.
Why so? Wait, I don't understand.
It just seems more believable, the stories, and that it was back then. I haven't. The stories from the factory just aren't as credible as the multiple people seeing her in her home.
So what's your rating?
So my rating for this one is a 6.
It's a 6.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
you
still
have
not real high.
6, 4,
4,
6.
6.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I really, I was just thinking about this though. The Chicago area in the 1890s was known for murder just like it is now. So we've come full circle, right? So we had H.H. Holmes and we had the Sausage King.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of murder in Chicago area. I wonder why.
Sausage.
It might be the sausage, yeah. All right, so it's time for our overall ratings. Mondo, what is your overall rating given all the evidence that you've heard today?
Do you think Louisa still haunts Chicago?
That is the actual question, but you're giving a numeric rating.
On Chicago. She had a good point about the house. And actually you did too, Pat, when you said that it was an unhappy place. I mean, that's like inviting evil in, And then Jewel,
Jules.
Well, it is a Phantom S that only Chicagoans see. It's on that spot. I believe about that there were hallucinations that he was seeing. I think he was probably going crazy. I believe he did kill her, and there was a lot of guilt. But she liked to follow him around, and I'm going to go overall. I'll say a 6.
Wow, that's higher than any rating that you gave for individual evidence.
No, at the beginning he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Rebecca, what is your overall rating?
My overall rating is also going to be a 6. Yeah. Because I do think that there is some evidence that she's that she did haunt him until he died and then hung around her house. What happened to her energy once the house was gone? I don't know. I mean, it may have moved on. It may have moved to the factory, though to me that doesn't sound like a great place to hang around if I were her. But, maybe, but I just haven't seen quite enough evidence for that one.
All right. So I'm going to have to go with our good friend Richard Crow that is no longer with us. That there is no signs of evidence pointing to a ghost of Louisa.
So tragic story, no
tragic
ghost.
Story, very, very tragic story. That he was deprived of his sausages. I can't imagine what he went through during that time, and that drove him insane.
Yeah.
Insane enough to confess a murder that he didn't even commit.
Wow. I don't know. Do you want to land on the side of Sausage King murderer defender?
I have no way of knowing. There was no forensic evidence at that time. So there's no DNA. There's no nothing. So I have no clue.
This is why they did not actually sentence him for hanging to be hanged. There you go. Because there was no body, so they didn't have the DNA kind of stuff back then. Yeah. But I mean, circumstantial evidence is pretty strong in this case. So.
Okay, maybe, yeah, maybe, but it's all, but it all could be planted.
Him, Mondo. I am worried. He's gonna go to the mental institution.
I need some sausages, people.
All right. Okay, so what's your number?
I'm going to go 0.
Number. Okay.
0.
Okay.
So that brings us to the closing arguments. This is our last chance to convince you to vote our way. We are each given 1 minute of uninterrupted time. And unfortunately, Rebecca is going to have to time all of us because my phone is being used for our interview with Mondo.
Okay. So I can time myself?
Yeah, so this gives her more of a chance to cheat on this one. Mondo, as our guest, you are up first.
Okay.
So let us know when you're ready.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right, here we go. And go.
Did Louisa haunt Chicago? And I don't think anybody can question that. I mean, really, that Adolph most likely bumped her off. I do think that he probably bumped more people off than we know, because that's why he had the equivalent of about $90,000 when he was ready to start his business. But I think he had a lot of guilt in his mind. It's interesting that in jail, he was seeing her. Even at the factory, when they brought him there, he was seeing her. Um, and then you have the house. There's not too many things that were brought up about it, but I do believe that there was enough to say that, something was going on there too. So I think that she did, in fact, haunt him. And I do believe that she haunts Chicago and those various places. And I think that he would be happy
you're out
to
of
know,
time, Mondo. I'm sorry.
One last thing.
You want to finish your thought? Yeah.
I think he would be happy to know that Jewel carries plenty of sausage.
They do.
Jewels.
They do.
The
Both
Jewels
Italian sauce and
brats, hot
brats,
dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, beef summer,
Yeah.
a lot of different. All right. Am I next or you're next?
I'll go next.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Go.
So we have a prominent paranormal investigator, Richard Crowe, probably one of the most famous in Chicago area, says that there was no signs of evidence. I have never come upon anybody that believes that this is real up until today. So I'm going to have to say that this is fabricated stories. I don't like to call people liars, but I think that these are secondhand or third-hand stories that get distorted along the way. And the real tragedy here is the lack of sausages in Chicago. And that's it.
There's no lack of sausage in Chicago. I just want people to know. If you come here, there's plenty of sausage.
Even to this day, it has affected the sausage intake of the Chicagoans.
I am sure that every non-Chicagoan listening right now is like, sausage Chicago. Like, that's our entire episode.
A sausage sandwich.
It's like, am I listening to
The Bears?
The Bears.
All right, Rebecca.
Okay, I'm going to time myself, everybody.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. And go.
All right. So I think that there's a possibility that Louisa did haunt her murderer after his death, or after her death, and potentially helped lead him to his own. I do think that it's possible she haunted her home. And hey, you know what? I didn't check out the Jewels to see if there were any stories of hauntings there. I don't know about the factory itself. That's, I think, the most common. That's like the story people want to believe, that she haunts there. But I think you're right. Richard Crowe said he didn't hear any firsthand accounts. I specifically, did not find any credible stories for the factory itself. But as far as does she haunt Chicago, or has she haunted Chicago? I say a little bit yes. That's where I'm at. A little bit yes. Oh, I'm over.
Oh, on the money.
Wow.
On the money.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone so much for listening. And Mondo, thank you so much for coming back on Ghostly. Do you have anything you want to plug or anything?
Just food. I'm really hungry now. I'm so glad that we did an episode on food. This is awesome. And yeah, I'm going to go get a sausage.
Hey, I've heard that you make a pretty mean mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah. I've kind of moved on from, okay, I'm a Chicago. I like sausage. I like beef. I like pizza. But I love mac and cheese. I grew up on mac and cheese.
I grew up on that stuff too.
Nice. It's good.
What would be like the one ingredient in your mac and cheese that's different than most?
No. I can't give that away.
Oh, that's a secret?
Yeah, I call my Mac $1 Million Mac, because I know that if one day I decided to just start a restaurant, it would be awesome. And I would serve mac and cheese.
I don't know if I ever told you my idea, but I think my idea and your idea could work well together.
Oh,
I wanted
nice.
to open up a food truck that serves, like, you know how they have pizza puffs, but different things stuffed inside the pizza puff. Because I've had like a taco pizza puff before.
Nice.
I, for some reason, am drawn to this taco idea, but I'm thinking we could do a mac and cheese pizza puff.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
Double the carbs.
I would call this place the Puff Magic.
Puff
You're giving
Magic
away your idea.
I am giving away my idea.
with extra gluten.
Yeah, with extra gluten.
Nice.
All right. This has become a food episode.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know how this happened.
There is a great food podcast, which we will be seeing at Elgin Fringe Fest. Called Attack of the Snack.
I didn't know they were going to be at Fringe. Oh, that's so.
They will be there the same day that we will
podcast.
be there. Yes.
Oh, I
Nice.
love everything about this. Attack of the Snack is great. Wait. Can I just ask really quick a song off? Just to leave the listeners real quick. Pat, what was your song again?
Oh, he is the sausage king, murdering. Least they found the ring. Yeah, yeah.
All right, and
Nice.
then Mondo, what was yours?
Poison. That sausage was poison.
All right, good. Okay, so just to leave the listeners with a little bit of song. All right,
Okay.
and then finish us up here.
So please share us with your friends and family, as word of mouth is our best advertisement. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. We will be talking about, and this is actually an episode that Bob challenged us to do a long time ago. Now, Mondo, remember when we did the Whole House episode?
Yes.
And remember I challenged Bob to do the Devil Baby episode?
Oh.
The Devil
Nice.
Baby. So he did it right away, whereas we did not. He in turn, right at that time, challenged us to do The Devil Made Me Do It, which is now the latest Conjuring episode. Now, I knew that this was in the works being filmed as The Conjuring 3, right? I don't think they actually call it The Conjuring 3, do they?
I don't know.
I think it's The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Right.
And so we will be talking about that one, and that comes out on August 4th.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm sure it's out on streaming somewhere. So
I
definitely.
think HBO Max.
Yeah, so definitely if you want to check that out before we chat about the real story behind the movie.
Now, Rebecca, you've seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? Like, I don't know, as far as like 5 stars being the highest rating you can go.
As like a horror movie.
As a movie in general.
As a movie in general, I'd give it 3.
As
Maybe
a horror
3.5. Yeah, it's as a general movie a 3. As a horror movie, maybe the 3.5. Yeah,
okay, you went up.
Yeah, I mean, because I love horror movies, so like if you want to have that fun ride of a horror movie, it's watchable. I mean, I'm glad I didn't pay to see it in a theater. I'm going to be honest. I love the Conjuring movies. This one wasn't quite as good as some of the others, but the actors are great and it's a fun story. I'm interested to compare it to what's the kind of the story behind the movie.
Yeah, but it is an Ed and Lorraine.
It is an Lorraine Warren.
Yeah, story.
And so I'm excited.
Mondo, have you seen The Devil Made Me Do It?
I did not.
Oh.
Not yet.
Well, you should check it out. I thought it was a good movie. I don't know how much I believe of the story, but it was a good movie. It was a good concept for a movie.
Yeah.
So until then, stay ghostly.
Bye.